Hello, everyone. Because we actually have some viewers. Welcome,
Whoa.
everyone. We're going to be plague bound, unfortunately, due to a player having a emergency. Everybody's okay. We're not going to be playing plague bound because they don't want to go into the temple of death without their healer, which is totally understandable. um, After a clear suggestion from the GM. You might not want to go into this thing without the healer. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of sit and work on mass pause. So mass pause, if you don't know what it is a anthropomorphic. I hate that word. Why can't they use an easier word? It's an animal superhero game. So basically, think Darkwing Duck. I'm trying to think of other ones. I know there's been other ones. Darkwing Duck is what comes to mind though. Oh, what was the rat one? Rats from Mars?
Biker Mice from Mars.
Biker Mice from Mars.
And then I'm thinking about the cop bunny and fox movie.
uh Animal City or something or
Yeah,
whatever.
Zootopia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zootopia.
Well,
So
that was off.
that type of stuff. Um,
Bugs
and
Bunny.
so the system currently is fairly broken. We did an alpha test. Scrap was involved in that. Thank you, Scrap, by the way. And we pretty much had a broken system. It wasn't working like I was wanted to. So I'm on the thing of I'm okay with throwing things out all the way up to publishing. So I have been known to change things. I mean, I changed something in Ironbound just before I sent it to publishing. Um,
I
so
think it was
I'm
more so it was missing something, right? There was just a couple
yeah.
things we didn't really account for, which was, obvious. It happens, but I didn't feel
Well,
like it was broken. It's just like, oh,
well,
we
it
forgot to account for this.
it was sort of broken. And I don't think it was like bad broken. I think it just didn't function. It didn't flow correctly for what we wanted. So I'm going to quickly go over what we did, and then I'm going to go over the quick few notes that we came up with um while making it. And then hopefully we can kind of figure this out. So so the base system is skill based. Um, I'm getting an echo from one of you guys.
Again, what?
An echo from one of you guys.
Oh no. Is it me? I'm like super leaning into my microphone.
Maybe. That's better. So yeah, it probably was you. All right. So there's 4 attributes in the game. There's physical, mental, and social. Physical, mental, social, and awareness. Those have skills underneath them. Athletics, acrobatics, and so forth. Those are your skills. Now, what we did for the alpha was powers. The main system is supposed to be 1d8 plus 1d6 plus the skills. Now, 1d6s are supposed to explode, and you roll powers were 1d8 plus x d6, where x is the amount of power points you spend towards that attack. Um, it was that's kind of where it kind of blah, and we might have a solution for it. But the main goal was to create get Scrat over here making animals. Um the main goal was to have like a bar where you would start in the center and successes would push you towards the goal, and failures would push you towards failure. There's a problem with that. It was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It wasn't leading to any resolutions, even though they had resolved the scene. It had not resolved the tracker. That was one problem I saw, at least. I'm hoping that's that. So we decided. So we played around while during that time frame, and we came up with 2 bars, one for success and one for failure. And depending on which one filled first was depending on what you got. I still think we're going to run into that problem, Scott, where your scenario is done, but the success bar is still not.
Yeah, that's gonna be tricky because the narration, story, all that will very rarely match the actual number. So of the progress bar you got going on.
So one thing that we could do is instead of having every successful roll add to the bar, they could have milestones in the game that actually affect the bar. I don't know. We'll get back to that. Let me finish what I was doing. I jump around a lot, people. If you haven't been here before, I jump around a lot. So we had powers, and the powers had ranks to them. And it didn't make sense because people were using skills where the powers kind of like could amplify those skills. So they were having trouble like balancing that. So I have a couple solutions for that. But this is what we got out of the alpha test because I wrote it down while we were playing. We need to redo the character sheets, but I can do that. That's not going to be a problem. We need to. I want to create. I created the character sheets, and this doesn't display it, but there were questions for like benefit questions, like your strength of your power, and then there was weakness powers. So we want to find a way that when they invoke the weakness, they get a bonus of some sort. It didn't feel team based. I don't know if that was the case to you guys, but it was to me. Scrat. And that's really the goal of the bars is to make it feel team based.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to figure out how weakness and strengths affect things. We're going to change the powers to basically change the powers to so I got 2 options here, and I need your opinion, guys. I could make the powers just narrative. Basically, you choose your powers and they affect you narratively. They can affect skills and stuff, but it's really just narrative. So like if you go to punch something with melee, you feel stronger because you have super strength. Or we could have the player, when they pick a power, assign 2 skills that would work with that power. And those skills could get bonuses when they use them. What do you guys think?
I'm trying to remember the session. I remember
we should have recorded it. I didn't.
Was it not recorded?
I did not record it.
Oh. Well, poop. One thing I remember I don't remember if we actually tried it, but I remember arguing for it, was to have the entire party say what they wanted to do and then move them all as one unit.
Oh yeah, initiative was a problem too, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Yeah, because we were like, okay, I want to do this, and then we were waiting for that player, and then it's like, okay, because that happened, I do this. It's like, no, 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 no. Everybody says what they want to do, and then you start rolling to see how well it works. None of this. All right, well, let me see what
Oh,
happens for him.
we did think about doing like a dice pool system where instead of everybody rolling individually, they would get a dice pool for their initiative. During their initiative, they would say what they wanted to do. And based on what
Mhm.
they would do, they would get a number of dice based on that that would they would roll and everything gets added together. And if you
Yeah.
beat the target at that point. But we ran into a problem with that thought process.
Did we?
How,
So
how do you
I thought it
set
was.
how do you set a target for 3 people, but also set a target for 5 people?
There was that. Golly, and I feel like we I remember saying, yeah, don't try to find a formula because it won't work, it won't scale. But I can't remember what the solution was. I think it was just instead of adding roll numbers, was it just add successes? Like, hey, you need this much or higher instead of like, oh, I rolled a 3 and a 5 and a 7 and a 9. Instead of adding those all together, it's just like, okay, how many passed? And
Right.
then, well, if you just push and pull, well, counting successes would be a lot easier, especially as you get more and more people, and that might just be a number. You could treat that just as a number, um, like a challenge roll nuts or something, an easy d6 or whatever, something you just set and say, okay, for this thing you're trying to do, this is what the difficulty is. Or didn't you also think about that approach, but for the entire encounter, like an ICRPG fight? Like you just have that number. It's like, okay, this is what you're trying to beat this entire counter. How you go about it is up to you, and that might make it go up or down a little bit.
That's how I was thinking about doing it. Um, uh, so like an index card RPG, here is your number for the scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if it's a down disadvantage for you because it's like your weakness or something, so you have to get like um +3 on that or -3 on that. I don't know what the number
Mm-hmm.
is, but you get like, or if it's super easy for you, like you're bashing down a door and you have superhuman strength, that would be what that would go from normal to easy, so you would get a -3 on that target number. But I want to
Yeah.
keep it simple like that, not too terribly complicated.
So thinking out loud and trying to remember the session. Uh, let's say we're at that opening scene again. Let's say you've just well, if you say number of passes. All right. Anyway, thinking out loud. Let's just say your target goal is 10. Um, Scrag goes around the corner, wants to throw the car through the window again. Other dude wants to do the bug swarm, and Mustache is going to walk in. So that's the plan. Everybody rolls, and then depending on whether or not they pass the total success, like then it's up to the GM. It's like, oh, the car does not go through the thing, or it goes through the thing and went way too far and caused this issue, or your bugs didn't work. But like the scene is progressing. It's not a whiff situation like D&D or Pathfinder or something where you just roll and think, oh well, I didn't hit his armor rating, so whiff. Nothing happens.
Right. So it would be like a pass or fail type situation.
Yeah, but those
Um,
fails, that's what pushes the enemy bar, right? Because your fail is their success.
Could you do it narrative? That so pass or fail with like hard fail, soft fail, neutral, hard success, soft success, etc.
yeah, I mean, um, so I kind of like the idea, Scrat. It's getting there. It's definitely more team based than what I was trying to do.
Also,
So
I was making faces at Glee, not at you, Neil. If you saw.
um, so if we take and we um do pass or fails, so then players, even if you wanted to roll separately, that wouldn't be that big of a deal. You could do that. Um, I would definitely write it as everybody tells you what you want to do, and then you roll to see. Um, I had trouble with when a I had trouble, and it might just be me as a DM, not necessarily the situation, because I wasn't rolling anything for the enemies. I didn't know like when to have them like act. That that was a problem.
Yeah. That
Um,
was just taking some getting used to on your part, I think.
it's a possibility. Because Cipher System works fine and it
Yeah.
does it that way. Um, how does Cipher System do it? So
I've
it's
never
only
played.
damn. Where's DM Tails when I need him? Um, aw, sorry. Lee sent me a picture of a cat. All curled up.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think how Cipher System does it, and my Cipher System is way over there. You get GM intrusions, but I feel like it also has that after all the players go, the GM gets to go once. Um, or at least that's the way DM Tales plays it. Um, but I'll have to. That's the problem. Like, how's the initiative work? Um, initiative. Let's figure that out first. So we want. So we're thinking about having it so all the players go at once. All players say what they do, then roll together. Which I like. That makes sense to me. Um and then what if we had the GM reaction? GM narrates pass and fail situation, pass fail. And then I guess the GM when he narrates could then say make me a defense roll. Um
That's kind of how Morkborg does it, kind of.
is it how Morkborg kind of does it?
Mm. Morkborg, it's everyone rolls for initiative, and it's a d6 plus your agility modifier. So, and then someone players rolls a d6. 3, 1 to 3, the monsters go first. 4, 5, 6, the players go first. And the so all the players can go first, and then the monsters, or all the monsters can go first, and then the players. And uh, when the monsters move, like they attack, the GM doesn't roll. It's roll defense.
Right.
I think you could also have it semi tactical where maybe instead of the players roll for initiative, pick one person. Maybe it goes in a circle. They roll for initiative, and then I don't know. Pick one person, they roll for initiative, and then the GM rolls for initiative. Highest wins, and then when the
Okay.
players' turn, they choose who goes.
I like the Morkborg thing. Use players roll 1d6 on a 4 to 6 enemies go first. On a 1 to 3 players go first. I like that. I forgot Morkborg did that, or Pirate Borg or Borg games.
Yeah, all the board games.
Players all initiate. Um, Players all react at the same time. So, same time. So you go around the room. So you go around and you get what all the players are doing, and then they'll get dice based on their actions. Here's a cool thing I just thought of. When they do combo moves, they'll get they get an extra d6 for the combo move. I don't have to put that here, but that's my thought process. So based on their actions, then they all roll, and based on successes versus failures, um, will determine. So all rolls based on number of successes versus number of failures. Number of successes versus number of failures. That will bump the bars, bump the bar one direction or the other. I'm thinking about going back to one bar again, but uh, if your successes double your failures, then it bumps the bar twice, and same with triple. So if you have 3 people, if hey mustache, I'm positive this will turn out awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Do you remember all the notes, Mustache, from our little play test we did? Because Dave doesn't, and he didn't record it.
Of course, I didn't record it. That would be useful. I'm not useful. Um, so the players react at the same time. Around get all the players, then dice based on their actions. All rolls based on number of successes versus number of failures. Bump the die one direction, one space, or the other. So if the failures are higher, then you bump it one space. If the successes are higher, you bump it one space. But if the successes or failures double, more mustaches. I should have described a couple with mustaches.
Yeah, I'll put a mustache on this guy.
If your successes are double your failures, then you would get um two bumps. If your failures are more than 2, that it would bump towards the failure twice. That might work. What do you guys think?
Complicated.
Is it? Or am I just explaining it really hard?
It's trying to follow a train of thought.
Yeah, I think it's just me explaining it poorly.
Also, I am zoomed all the way out, and your text is so big.
Why is it so big, small on my size then? Hold on.
You gotta zoom in. You made it huge.
Of course I did. Um. All right, so let's kind of do like a thing here. So I did make this huge, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Like super huge. Why did I do that? I don't know.
It seems you had a big idea. That's why.
Roll 1d6 to find out who goes first. If the enemies go first, enemies, then you would roll defense rolls for their attacks. And then I'm using the wrong things for this, but that's all right. Then you go to the player roles. Players, I'm going to call it player's reaction because that's really what it is. Even when they start off, it's their players' reactions. So if they go first, so oh my god, I am such an idiot. Ugh, I make things so difficult, don't I?
I don't know. Why do you say that?
I always make things difficult. I don't know why. So if you roll a d6, the enemies go first. You'll roll your defense rolls for their attacks. If the players go first, they say what they're going to do, and then they get dice pools for that. So they get a dice pool and roll together. Um, I guess I don't need the enemies.
Now, not to interrupt your train of thought
No,
here.
please go ahead.
I thought the idea of this, what we had come to at least last time, and also I don't think it would work if you let enemies go first with the way the system is, but I thought it was players always go first. Like they're the ones that always do the action. And then if they fail their action, that's basically how the enemy gets to go. Like when you fail an action, it's very pub to the apocalypse thing. Like when you fail, that's how you take your damage and blah blah blah. So like guy wants to punch the villain, very simple. You fail the roll, the villain actually ends up punching you. But like there's no other rolls to take place. It's like no, your failure was the bad guy's success. So you failed, you took a damage, your turn again, go again. So
Yeah, but if we're having players all roll together,
yes. Same thing. Just multiple pieces moving at the same time. Because the party is one unit. They're well, at least one of the concepts was they're a single unit, all putting their roles into one goal.
yeah,
Because
but the
nobody has
enemies,
individual HP or anything, right? It's
no,
just the bar.
but the enemies might not be. You might have like 2 or 3 enemy types. You might have the robots attacking with the mole people coming up from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah.
That's where it got
Oh.
difficult to narrate and then also have that bar. We decided not to have the bar go back down because that made it impossible to narrate
Correct.
and everything. So it's just a constant progression, save for special abilities or something that might reduce it by 1 or something. But like generally, it just keeps going one direction. So that way you can keep up with it. And if you have multiple bad guys, you can have those tally marks in the bar just as the GM. It's like, okay, if they get 2 successes, that's 1 guy dead. Blech. So
Okay, so if we do it that way, the way you were saying, players' actions. All right. So these are, you got your player actions. They tell you what they collect their dice, they roll together. On failures, these are failures. Uh the enemy gets to attack and they would have to roll a defense.
no.
Nope.
It just happens. When you fail, that means the enemy has won that round. So you're the damage, the narrative side effects, that's all just happens.
Okay. And then on successes. All right. So really it's 3 things then. If I'm understanding your thought process correct. So you got your player actions, they roll your dice. If they on failures, then you count the failures, failures versus successes, right?
Yes.
And based on that, so if you have more successes, then the player bar, let's call it player bar, moves up. If they're failures, then the enemy bar moves up. Correct?
Right. And you, as the GM, narrates what's going on, which might make things stack against you and get harder or easier. Like,
Okay.
if you're fighting a horde of robots and you blow up several of them, that might become an easier challenge as there's less and less and less of them. But that's another mechanic for later. And you could have a third option here if you wanted. There you go. Pass with a complication. I don't know if that's something you want to do. If you just want to have that line, nope, you either pass or fail, or you have this range and like you can
So
both
what
bars
I'm
move up.
thinking, so the only okay, so how much do they move up? Do they move up just 1? Should we do something where, like, if they have overwhelming successes over their failures, so say everybody rolls three three straight successes. There's 3 players, they roll 3 straight successes. I feel like the bar should go up twice for that.
Well, that depends on how you set the goal, but also crits, don't those give players their hero ability point thingies? So
That's what the thought process was. I
yeah.
don't know how that. Okay.
I like that system. The max roll gives you the players their ability points, and then the minimum, like when you roll ones, that gives the bad guy ability things to do. So, and that fits in with what we have so far. So, like, the player loses the roll, the enemy bar goes up, but then you can say, okay, I'm going to spend these enemy points I have now
So
to make this
really,
thing happen.
there's this here, and that is it's too big. Why do I make everything so big?
You're hungry.
Ones. Oh, this is, yeah. Ones give GM intrusions is what we call them, which I can't use, but for now, that's what I'm calling them. And then we have here.
Well, that's not just on their successes and failures. That's just the roll in general. So really, that goes over here. You just want to be picky about it. I got them backwards.
Yeah, that's fine. I understand what you're saying.
Yep. Here, I'll. Woo. There you go.
That's true. That's just the roll together.
Yep.
In
That's
general.
just dice side effects. Yep.
That's just dice side effects. Okay. That gives me a couple more options for abilities too.
Are you using D12s?
No, they're D6s.
2d6s?
No, it's a 1d8 plus 1d6, and the d6s explode. Or did I make it so all the dice explode?
I remember being against the multiple dice, but you liked it because the math checked out, and I think that's where we really started because we were like, well, are we adding numbers or are we counting successes? Excuse me.
So if we're going to do, what if I just make it a d6 system?
I mean, you could start there. You could start there just to be easy, and then if you see a way to branch off and add more dice for, like, maybe hero abilities, use a different die or something like that.
Okay, so I have an idea. All right, so this works for what we're thinking. That I understand this. Hero abilities. I don't know why I go with the diamond. I can't type. Can't spell either. There we go. Well, actually, let's call them powers. Hero powers. We were looking at making them a little bit more narrative and less influential. But I have an idea. So normal. Oops. Get back to the. Back in the day. Oops. Sorry, guys. It was 1d6. This is going to be really large, but I'll make it smaller. All right. So it used to be 1d6. Now we're just plus 1d8. Plus skill point. Whatever you put for your skill. Whatever your skill in that is. What if we'd say if you are using your power, depending on your rank in that power, because I like the rank idea. I know you don't, Scrap, but I do. What if we do this? What if we have you start in a D4 for a power that you have. So you get a D4. That's what you start with. Second rank you get a D6. Third rank you get a D8. And then final rank D10.
Mm-hmm.
And these are bonuses to your roll.
So you want to go with adding roll results instead of counting successes, or
no, you still count successes. So here's the thought process. So you still count the number of successes because you're still rolling to find out whether you're successful or not. The When you go to use your power plus your skill, you get an extra die based on how strong you are in that power, and it makes it easier to be successful because you're using that power.
Gotcha.
Um, what do we think of that idea?
I like it. Now,
And as you get stronger superheroes, you get higher target numbers. Obviously.
yeah, but the hero powers, was that the point we could consume
Um,
that what we got for rolling sixes and
I
whatnot?
think yeah, I think
Is that what that
that's
was?
yeah. Which right, because we had in the test we had PowerPoints where everyone had two to three based on how you spread them, and then we had team points. And both of those allowed you to use your power. So you could use your power if you were out of power points, you could pull from the team pool point to use your power.
Righto.
I still think I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at all right, so that makes sense for hero powers. That kind of works for hero powers because that will just make that if you're using your power, you get a special bonus to it. Now, here's where it could get. You can't. I don't think you should be able to just say, "Okay, I'm using my power with this skill," and it works. I think you. I think per based on the ranking 1 through 4, because we have 4 dice um, of power, you get to add one skill to that power that your power can be used with. Um, I gotta look at the powers again.
So how does this work if Batman and the Hulk are trying to open a door?
Yeah, let's do that. So Batman and Hulk are trying to open the door. So Batman has techno. Let's say he's technology. He has technology. He has technology. Let's make now. Do I make the powers have attributes assigned to them, like I do a bit skills? Well, no, because they would have skills. I would have a skill assigned to it. So, okay, Batman has technology. In technology, he has engineering as his skills. Okay. So he only has rank 1 because we're year 1 Batman. Okay. Um, he has one in engineer, basically. So if he wanted to open the door with explosives, he could use engineering to set the explosive and get his D4 plus 1d6 plus skill for that whatever he has in skill for engineering, which I'm assuming would be fairly high. Let's say it's a 4. Um so
Well,
so
I'm sorry.
mhm.
It wouldn't even matter anyway because everything you do is a team action. So if the challenge is getting the door open, that's where we ran into the before. Like, okay, well, what's the benefit of me not taking an action this round? And
Right.
that was a way to generate points. So in that case, you would let the Hulk just smash it.
Yeah, or if you wanted to do it stealthily, you'd let Batman use explosives to make it quiet. right? Say you don't want to go in hot and heavy, but you want to go in nice and stealthy. Would you then let Batman use his engineering to
Right. And
sneak it?
yeah, that could be the points reset every encounter, right?
PowerPoints didn't.
Okay.
Team points did.
Okay. And then skipping your turn would add to the team point pool. So that's good. That keeps people from abusing it. Like, oh, well, let me open all the doors. And, and
Right.
everybody ends up skipping turns. So that still keeps it a team thing, but also allows individuals to shine at their moments. So,
Right.
and it doesn't abuse well, I skipped my turn. Give me this
All
thing.
right.
It's like,
I don't know who wrote can we make the stat spell at pause, but what can we change mental to that starts with a W?
So I was actually just looking at that, and I was
wisdom.
thinking physical. One of the synonyms for physical is animal.
Well, all we have to do is change this to wisdom. And then
Wiliness.
we have pause.
Hmm.
Let's see. Let's.
Now we have pause.
Because it would be because
No, that's a brilliant idea. I just never thought of it. I don't know why. Should have.
Does wisdom make sense though?
It's arcane, alchemy, hacking, science, survival. Yeah, it makes sense. Why?
Whimsicalness.
Whimsical does not make sense.
Wizardry.
Wizardry
Weird.
doesn't. No. Weird might
Wacky.
work. Weird might work.
I say if it's for all the weird mental stuff, like it might.
It might.
Or wild.
I think we'll keep it
Wild.
wisdom. Wild?
Yeah.
But wild doesn't make sense for like smart things.
yeah.
Hmm.
Because I was thinking maybe the physical rename that to animal. Because you're gonna, if you're a bipedal animal.
Feels a bit stretched for wisdom, but I suppose it works. Okay, so great mustache.
It's a good
thinks
placeholder.
stretch. It's a good placeholder. So you were thinking physical, change that to animal. What else were you thinking?
Excuse me. Wasn't me.
No,
Awareness.
it was
You could
no.
change awareness to like perception. And
Yeah, but it's not necessarily just perception.
yeah.
Wily's what I said, mustache.
Wily?
Wiliness. Yeah. It doesn't really
Alright.
make sense, but I mean, I like it.
Wisdom. How do you spell wisdom? Like that?
Wisdom? You mean the wisdom you have?
Yeah, like wisdom.
Or are you talking about a different type of wisdom?
No, like wisdom you have. Oh, it's never. And I'm dumb. I'm sorry. My wife just got home, so I was thinking about something else. Wisdom makes sense. I mean, arcane. I mean, technically, arcane, alchemy, engineering, hacking, and science would all fall into wisdom for D&D. No, I guess they would fall into intelligence. What's a different word for intelligence?
I'm looking that up. And I cannot spell.
Wit?
Sense? Smart.
Wisdom or wit are about the only two.
Brains, mentality. Wisdom. It does say wisdom for intellect. Insight, wit, brain power, talent, reason, smarts, aptitude, gray matter, brilliance.
Yeah, but that doesn't work with W.
No.
Wisdom or wit? I think wit is probably better. Wit is what I was trying to think of when I said wisdom.
Mm.
Minor. Those are minor. That's minor.
Yeah.
The point being is okay. So it's a D6 system. You get based on your ranks of power. Um, each power gets assigned a
Willpower.
doesn't make sense for intelligent
Yeah.
type stuff.
Thought I was a genius.
So powers have ranks based on ranks. Ranks give you a die type and one extra skill. First level characters, initial characters can only must start with only one rank. Then one power rank, which would make sense. I mean, your initial character, you're not you're not going to be the Hulk straight out, even though Hulk in comic books were. That's not how it works in video games and TTRPGs. You develop stronger skills, and then you get rank points as you level, and you can spend those into powers or skills. So you can up your skills or you can up your powers. But would it be beneficial to up the skill or would it be beneficial to up the power? Because then you would have the ability to get two. I'm jumping the fence, aren't I, Scrat? I always jump the fence. All right, so if we have that Hulk back breaking down the door, he has superhuman strength, so he has physicality. Say he has melee as his physicality thing, so he'd get like a D4 plus a D6 plus his skill bonus. Say his melee's 4, so that would be 4 plus 1D4 plus 1D6. If we had a Hulk that was rank 4 and he went to go smash down the door, he'd have 1d10 plus 1d6 plus whatever rank he has. Let's say he could 7 or 8 based on how many points he put. I think that would work. What do you guys think?
Needs tested.
I know it needs testing. Okay, so here where we're going to need to think about something. How does having a weakness
Oh, the player weakness?
power weakness?
Yeah.
Remember how
Yep.
I had
Kryptonite.
questions on there like
Yeah. I really liked that part.
I did too, so that's why I want to get it back. How does oops. Did not mean to grab that. I meant to do this.
I mean, power weaknesses serves two things. I mean, mechanical, but also it's a role play aspect.
Oh yeah, I know. I just want it to affect something mechanically too, because I Scrap brought the idea up while during the alpha test, and I think it's a good idea. If you use your weakness, so example, Superman's kryptonite, how is that going to benefit you, or does it just hinder you?
Uh, is that
And
something
if
the GM can use when you fail?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So if it hinders you, if it only hinders you, then it just drops your dice down a level. Your power
So
dice.
I, thinking out loud, which is technically the whole thing we're doing
Point.
here.
Yep.
I like the idea of, everybody has their weakness. Obviously, that's part of the character creation. The GM's only allowed to use one player weakness per encounter. So nothing stacks. Like somebody's always going to be
Well,
the weak
they
link.
they would have to use the GM intrusion points to use
Yeah.
it.
Well, depending on how we do it. Because, like, if you limit it to one character, that
Well,
could. You
if
might
the
not need
G
to use a point for something, but it just
the
depends on how
the
they get
number of
affected.
times that the ones actually showed up were very low compared to max dice on the dice. But I don't know if that's just because you guys were super good at
Yeah,
rolling.
that should be mathematically the same. Like
Let's find out.
your odds of rolling a 1 should be the same as rolling the max on the die.
In exploding situations, you have a 2.78% chance of getting higher than 6.
Well, that
And
total, right?
right.
Oh, I thought we were just counting the one.
No, we're counting just one.
Yeah, that would be the same. Like a
Well,
one in your.
I still want the exploding dice. I think.
Well,
that
you have that. That gives a player's chance to accrue more points, but it's also more for the GM potentially. But I'm just saying, math wise, that your odds should be the same.
Yeah, I guess it's 16.67% chance on a d6.
So as far as the weakness,
but you also have 3. Yeah, I guess no, that works.
so do you want it something the GM can use, or do you want it to be more tricube in the sense it's something the player can use to intentionally hinder themselves in order to gain maybe more hero points or something?
Maybe that's the case. Is that it just gives you more. Maybe that's how you recover your power points.
Good. Instead of
You
forfeiting a turn,
you take a weakness and it drops your die type on your power, but you get a power point back.
Yeah, because see, so like you're talking about the kryptonite, that is something the bad guy would bring to the battlefield. It makes more sense the GM to use that, but like the character I made, his weakness was he was kind of a hothead and just liked to, he had no fear, and that worked against him. He would just rush into situations that he was clearly outgunned in.
But you get a power point back.
Yeah. Yeah. So in TriQ, you say, I'm using my weakness or my quirk, and that ups the difficulty of that roll you're trying to do. But you get stuff in return. So if you wanted to do that, how would that look in this?
I mean, this would be the same thing. You basically say, okay, well, I have this weakness, so I'm using it, and that weakness would then hinder you. You drop down a dice pool for your power. So if you're a D4, you would lose that power die, but you get a power point back.
Now, do they get something extra if they pass with that more difficult roll?
Yeah, they should.
Yeah, so that's how TriCube does the quirks. If you fail, you get your karma point back. If you pass with a more difficult roll from your quirk, you either get the karma or you restore 1 HP, up to you. So, like, for this one, it's like, okay, if you fail the roll, you get a power point. If you pass the roll, you get 2 or 3 power points or something.
If you fail the roll, you get a power point back. But if you pass the roll, you could get a power point and a team point.
Okay. And if you just forfeit your turn, you get
a team point.
Yeah. All right. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I want to write this down so that if forfeiting a turn gives a team. If you use your strength, though, it basically does the same thing, except that it increases your power die one power die up a level. Boost. It increases your power die, but the GM gets an intrusion. That works. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say yeah, like you're not sure there, Scrat.
It's a lot to digest. Because there's so many other things I'm trying to remember here.
How are intrusions? Are they like right after, or is it going to be like points?
So intrusions are going to be points
Okay, so
that you have to spend.
GM would, yeah.
That the GM has to spend to do things. Now, basic attacks the GM can do fine, but their enemies are going to have abilities to really affect the game, whether that's infecting the environment or things like that, that the GM can spend points to do. Now, his are not going to be like the players. It might cost him 2 to 3 points to actually initialize one of his powers, where the players, it's just it might be a single point. Or should it be? I don't know. I haven't figured that part out. I'm jumping ahead. But the point being is that enemies will have abilities that will be able to be intrusions that can interrupt. I think it should even be able to interrupt player actions. If he spends so many, but those powers would be especially costly to his pool point system. I'm also talking out loud, not thinking about clearly. What do you guys think of that thought process?
So you threw all this hero points and ability points at me right before we did the play test. It wasn't part of the original plan.
It wasn't. Now I write.
See,
it was something I wanted to do. I kind of came up with it right.
Throw me for a loop.
So hero points. Hero points. We'll call them hero points.
Yeah.
There,
Well, so if I just wanted to regular punch the guy,
you regular punch the guy, you roll 1d6 plus skill.
right, and then the hero abilities or powers, I'm sorry, the powers were
So if you use power points, if you wanted to add a power to it, you'd have to use a power point, which would activate your power, where you would get a d4. So say you're ranked 1, you get a d4 plus 1d6 plus your skill.
So, man, if you're just
You-
rolling a d4, like, you could use your power and have less of a chance of succeeding at something if you just rolled your d6 and your skill.
Sure, but if you're now a rank 4 in that power, you're rolling a 1d10 plus 1d6 plus skill.
But that costs 4 points, though, right?
No, 1 point
Oh.
still. But you're
That's not
rank
what we-
4. Yeah, I know that's not what I'm changing it.
Ah!
That's
All right. So what do the points do that we can consume?
So you have power points. You have start with 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Per session. Those power points, when you use them, you spend 1 point. It allows you to activate your power. With any you know what? I don't need to assign skills to powers then, because you're using points to activate your power.
So it's just always 1 point?
Just 1 point. 1 point, you activate your power. Then you get to add your d4 plus your 1d6 plus skill.
So the powers use skills too?
Yes.
Oh.
Because that was one thing that we kept running into, was it was easy. It was better for you guys to roll a skill than it was to use your power.
Okay.
So
what if what if it's still 1d6 plus skill, but burning power? Well, no, I was going to say, what if you burn power points to add more d6s for more explodies, but then, like, how do your actual powers come into play at that point? So, never mind. If you're always using your skill versus your fire hands.
Right.
So, okay. Never mind.
And the thought process is, and this might change very well. This is still very alpha. So you use a power point to activate your superhuman strength. I'm not sure how that would go on with your engineering skill point, but let's say you figure out a way to convince the DM that's the case. So you use your superhuman strength plus your engineering, and you roll a d6. So you'd roll a d4, a d6, and plus your engineering skill, whatever that would be.
What if? See, I feel like there's a disconnect between skills and powers. Like, more of the fact that they don't mesh, not a disconnect. But what if it was for your powers? It's the d6 plus whatever die you roll to your rank, but also plus the rank value itself instead of the skill. I don't remember what the ranges were for the skill. Weren't they kind of like
1 through 7?
Oh, 7.
So a skill might be more beneficial than a power at that point. And
if you're
you
really
guys were
skilled.
You guys were running into a situation where you wanted to use your super strength and your melee skill, but you couldn't with the way I had set up the powers and the skills. They were separate.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that your powers enhance your skills.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, so everything's a d6 plus a skill, and then if you use your power, it's that plus an extra die, which
plus your extra die, whatever your rank is in that power.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're level 3 hero, you might have a rank 2 power and a rank 1 power.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. I'm on board.
Okay. I just want to make sure it makes sense. because sometimes the ideas that come out of my head don't make sense.
Yeah, I'm still wondering if just 1 point works though. Like, I'm wondering if you were rank 3, which means you have access to a D8, but you have to spend 3 points to
Ooh,
use
that's a
that
good
D8.
idea.
Yeah.
And then you can also use team points to do that too.
Yeah. Because I feel like if it's just 1, and it might be what you want, but if it's just 1, then you're constantly going to be using your superpowers. Like, it would,
Well,
especially if they
okay.
regenerate every encounter.
So rank 1 power gives you a D4.
Uh huh.
If you have rank 2, it gives you a option to D6, so you can use 2 power points to get to D6. If you have a rank 3 power, then you can use 3 power points, or if you don't have 3 power points, 2 power points and a team point to
Yeah.
get to rank 3. If you're a rank 4, then you would be able to use 2 power points and 2 team points to get to that. And it would allow you to use the team points more.
And if you're going to go that route, I would up the die size by 1. I would start at the D6 and 6, 8, 10, 12. Because you're burning
right.
more points now.
Great mustache, and this was a while ago, and I apologize, Great Mustache, I didn't see it. Popular for social, astute for mental, wisdom for awareness, and stoutness for physical.
Mm. Astute and wisdom might be confusing, though.
That's what I was thinking.
They sound kind of...
Pause.
Can you make senses for awareness? Like, the word senses to replace awareness, and then you'd have to find a different word for... Oh, hang on, I confused myself. If we took awareness and made it senses, that would be the S. So we need something else for wisdom once again.
Yeah.
Back where we started.
And you would need something, it would be an A, right?
Animal.
No,
No.
astute is still mental.
You keep
We're
wanting
just...
to do animal. Animal doesn't make sense. I understand why you're doing it, but
Yeah.
like it doesn't. I don't see where that makes sense for a ability name. Maybe I'm wrong.
You replace superpowers with animal powers. There. Now you have
There.
an animal stat.
Um,
Everybody's a werewolf. Aware something.
essentially that's what this is. Except that you don't change. Okay, so PowerPoints. So based on your number of PowerPoints, I'm just gonna do this. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Did you want to up the die size, or were you against that one?
Upping the die size for what?
Well, I was saying if you're spending more points, the way we have it, I was suggesting up the die size by 1 across the board. So
do a D6.
yeah, you start at a D6 and then you're 1D12.
D6, 1D8, 1D8, 1D10, 1D12.
Mm-hmm.
That works.
Because 4 points is a pretty big chunk. I mean,
yeah.
And the thing is, with these, you can still, and this is what I worry about. It's like, oh, I spent 4 whole points and rolled a 2 on my D12. Like that's my fear.
Well, I mean, that's the fear that you get with any kind of rolling system. Let's just say Wes won't be good at this game. Unless he's DMing. Then he'll be great.
Yeah.
What am I not thinking of that we might need? So we have powers, how to use your powers. We know how to use your skills. And you can still use your skills without your powers.
Mm-hmm.
Your powers enhance them.
Yep.
Do we have your powers assigned to attributes, and they can only affect those skills? Because does it make sense to let Hulk use his super strength with engineering?
No, I think it has to make sense. Like, that'd just be one of those things you can haggle with the GM.
Yeah.
Your instructions would say you can use your superpowers with a skill so long as it makes sense. Like, that's your instructions. And then
Here we
if you
go.
can.
Popular, animalism, wisdom, smarts.
There you go.
Popular, animalism, wisdom, smarts.
And
So
popular kind of makes sense if you're superheroes, you know. You gotta do your
popularity.
public relations thing.
There we go. We got your animalism in there. Oops. Back to content. So physical was animalism. Awareness is wisdom. And wit or smarts was smarts. And social was populism.
Mustache helped.
I did a thing. I helped. You did. You made it so we could get animalism in there.
Neil's happy.
I helped. If you scroll up on this, I did a quick. I was getting jealous of Scrat doing all his drawings
Doodles.
and stuff, doodles. So I made a great mustache in the top.
Hey, look at there.
Yeah,
A big old mustache.
yeah, a great mustache even.
All right, so you don't think we should limit the powers to attributes? You think they should have to argue that with the DM?
Yeah, I mean that's worth a test run. Like if you have a bunch of different tables and everybody spends the whole time not arguing, but like, oh, can Hulk smash the keyboard on the computer really, really hard as an engineering skill? Like that is just like, okay, you know,
as a hacking skill.
Yeah, because I tried in Nuts one time. I tried putting a page in there that said, "Hey, you can make your own shell." When I tried to do that, the entire group tried to make their own shell instead of using what was available, and none of them needed to. When they explained to me what they wanted, it's like, no, just pick.
There was a shell for it.
Yeah. So I took that out immediately.
All right. And we have the initiative. And this is not it, so I'm going to get rid of that. And so players' actions, they describe what their actions are. They get dice they get their dice based on what they're doing. They all roll together based on the number of successes. The enemy bar moves up or player bar moves up. I still think that if you have double your successes versus your failures, you should probably move that bar up twice.
I also like the idea of having that middle option of succeeding with a complication and then both bars might go up.
How would you, what would, they both are equal?
Well, I still don't know how you're counting successes. Like, is the bar always just going to move one notch unless there's a special occasion? Or are you going to be like, no, you got 3 successes, so it moves 3 notches? I mean, that's going to be too much to keep up with, I feel like.
My thought process was one notch if your successes beat your failures, you get 1 notch.
Okay. And then a crit of some capacity would...
Crits give you your team points. Mm-hmm. So I don't think crits really should affect the bar any, but I think if you have double your number of successes versus your okay, here's how we can do it. All right, I got an idea.
Will you always be able to double your number of successes?
So you have so uh 3 players. We're gonna go with the 3-player thought process right now. All right, and then we could change it if need be. 3 players. They roll. One gets a success. Success. One gets a failure. One gets another success. So that's 2 successes. I'm I'm doing this quickly. So that's 2 successes versus. Oh yeah, that works. 2 successes versus 1 failure. So that would be double the number of successes versus failures. So they would move up 2 bars. 2 bars. Now, if this person failed, so they get failure, it's 2 bars in the opposite direction.
Oh, okay. So they're just constantly. That's right. We had talked about that, and that's also a good reason that gives somebody the idea of maybe I wait this turn out and just generate a point for the team.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's 2 bars for the failure bar, not the player bar. Enemy bar versus the player bar. Counter bar. I think I was calling it the encounter bar. So that would give the players 2 encounters. Now, that being said, I think personally, if everyone was 100% successful, I think it should go at 3 bars.
Oh, yeah, you're just 1-to-1 is what you're doing. It's 1 bar
But
per
here's
person.
where it doesn't become 1-to-1. So you have 5 players. Okay. 2 of them failed. I don't know why it's green, but that's okay. 2 of them failed. 1, 2. That is still double your successes. More successes. It's not double your successes. So you'd only get 1 bar.
What is double your successes? You're losing me.
Maybe not double the successes is not the right term. So I have 2 successes. I have 2 failures. I would need 4 successes to pass. So if I was 5 players, I would need 4 successes to get 2 bars, 5 successes to get 3 bars.
How'd you get that number?
So 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be double your successes versus your failures. That's not going to work. How can I do this then?
Well, why don't you just do each player? I feel like your bar is going to get a little out of hand, but each player's success is 1 notch on the bar.
I don't want that because the bar is going to get out of hand. That's the reason why I'm trying to avoid it.
I mean, would it? Instead of a bar, what if you just had a number? Like, you need 10 successes. The enemy only needs 5 or 20, whatever the difficulty is. That way you don't have to put all these tiny little notches on a bar. You just have a number you're ticking up.
Do that.
You could, if you're on a VTT, you could make the bar very easy. I mean, I can do that in Excel in like 5 seconds, but because it wouldn't matter the number, it would just have that scale going constantly.
So you would just have like a number here. You would be like 10 successes versus 5 successes, say. 5 failures.
Yeah.
And
that's something, because if you have a huge party, only 2 failures are needed. you could die very quickly.
That's true. So if we ended up with, say, Wes was playing with us, and we ended up with a failure, because Wes is probably going to fail. Scrat's usually good. Neil's usually good. But then you have me. I'm a horrible player. And then that's already 3 to the 5, and you still need 8.
Mm-hmm. Because see, as you start building up that party, you're increasing your chances of failure too. So you might find that if you have a good difficulty balance is 7 successes and 4 failures, you might just I forgot I was gonna say double or something.
So I'm going to do this though. If everyone gets a success, you get a +1 success.
Yeah, that's you get a bonus one, but
You get a bonus one.
that or some points or hero points or something to keep the momentum going. Like everybody gets
Well, you're
a
already
hero.
getting hero points from the dice rolling crits. So this would
Yeah,
be
I think if everybody on the team passes, you should get a bundle of team points
okay.
added to the pool because those go poof after the fight anyway. But like this is like okay, we knocked this out of the park. We have the momentum, so now we have these extra points, and we can try and keep this momentum going.
No, Iskillum. Sometimes people will choose not to take an action to add a team point. That is up to
And
them, though.
another thing, I don't know if you want to do so. So leave what you got on the board. So let's say everybody is like pass, 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 and then you're like, okay, we all passed. I'm going to forfeit my roll. Does that count as a full team passing? Because technically nobody failed.
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay, so you would get your bundle of team points. So that adds the little strategy to it. But then you got to say, all right, well, what if one guy rolls and then the rest of the team says, I don't want to do anything? And then you just get
Well, see, they're all rolling together, so they have to make the decision before.
That's right. You got a target you got to pass. So, okay.
You got a
Oh, wait,
target.
no.
Everybody
Sorry.
has to pass the target number, but they all roll together.
So how do the individuals pass if there's a big target number they're trying to hit?
So it's not going to be a big target number.
We're not
It's
doing
gonna
that. Okay.
No, it's going to be a target number of like 12, and then your success is passing that target number.
Yeah. Well, now you're getting into that. So thinking of the scenario we run, is it the same target number for me to hurl the car through the window as it is for somebody to walk in the front door and try to distract them?
Depends on your character.
Yeah.
If your character has a power strength, that's where power strength could come in. No, here's the thing. If you use your power to throw that car and you have a strength in throwing cars, let's say, for some reason, because your character did enjoy throwing cars, you have a strength in that power of throwing cars. You practiced in the junkyard. That's why you throw cars. You would get a boost to your die. So say you're using a D8 because you're using 2 rank, you'd actually go up to a D10. So you'd
rank
actually
2
have
is D8, right?
right rank 2.
Yeah.
I was thinking you were rank 2 using 2 power points. But yeah, so you would go up 1 power point. So chances of you being successful is a lot easier.
But
on
I'm
that
also
target number.
consuming points to make that happen.
You are. That's true. But that makes sense. When you're using points, you get a benefit of making things easier. Right? That does make sense, right?
No. let's see how I say this. So if I want to hurl the car through the window like I did, the little squirrel guy,
Yep.
I use my powers. So let's say on the board you have this scene is a 12. So I had to
Okay.
beat a 12 to hurl that car. Mustache wants to walk through the front door and just say, hey, 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 yippee-ki-yay, and then just to get those guys' attention. Is that also a 12 for him? Because one of those tasks, ignoring the superpowers, is significantly easier than the other.
Yeah. I don't know.
Is that where you would come in as a GM and do the ICRPG thing? Say, okay, let's
Yeah, I guess
reduce it
that's
by
where I
3.
come in and do that. That's where you come in and do that.
I mean, and there's also the argument to be made there. It's like, okay, yes, that is an easy task you're performing, but does it work? Like, then it's like, how focused are these bad guys? How, are they going to see, oh, he's got a distraction. I
So
know what he's trying to
okay.
do.
So
But
I saw your message, Neil. If you have to ditch out, then go ahead.
all right. Sorry,
So
guys.
hear me out. What if? Okay, so hear me out. What if everyone had their own bar of point base on their player setup, and it could be like 3, 4, 5, or 6. Higher for the weaker players. The player may spend those points for smaller perks in the game, but they can also expend a full bar for 1 point on the party bar.
It's like
I
a
don't know if I've.
whole
That's
different
a whole
concept.
different concept. Yeah,
That's a different game.
it's that's my opinion. It seems like a different game to me. Uh,
But we keep changing everything, so
yeah, no,
it might have made sense at one revision.
it might have. So my question is, how do I do this? So Great Mustache wants to come in and distract them so that when you throw in the car, they're weaker. So the only thing I can think of is that would lower the target number. But how do I do
Well,
that if everybody's rolling at the same time?
I was gonna say, as I was saying it, I think the value was fine because you can always argue, like I was saying, yes, what Mustache was doing is an easy task for him to do, but the likelihood of it succeeding for the
But if
bad
it
guys
succeeded,
actually getting distracted, like
what I'm
that's.
saying is if it succeeded, it would make your task easier. But if you're rolling all at the same time,
I think that's up to that's up to you, the GM. So like, let's take that exact scenario. So let's say we both pass. He walks in, says, hey, 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 gets their attention, and I yeet the car through. You can say, okay, the car comes through with that success and bowls over, 3 gangsters. If you start the scene over, Mustache walks in and says, hey, hey, and they don't buy it. They're like, something's up. Now their senses are up. The way you narrate that is, yep, the car comes in. I still got my success. Car goes through, hits maybe 1 or 2 gangsters, and one having been alerted, he jumps out the way. See what I'm saying?
yeah,
And that works because your bar's not going down like it was before.
right.
Because gangsters were
You're still
dying,
getting
but
you're
we weren't
still
making any progress.
you're still getting that +1 bar
Yeah.
for succeeding.
Yep.
Oh
And
god,
I
I have to write
think
this up.
um, I what you might run into with this is figuring out that scenes run very differently than typical gaming, like you normally do. Um, so the encounter bar, you have that whole thing going on. It's like, what's the goal? In that case, was it to save the hostages? And then when you fail, that doesn't mean your party's dead. That just means, nope, they shot the hostages. Like, you lost, and then you can still finish this fight out if you want. But
So why can't we have two 2 challenges in a scene. Save the hostages is 6 successes. Defeating the bad guys is 10 successes. Each success does knock down that bar, so you could technically succeed in saving the.
You can do that, but what you're going to run into is the same situation you had when we tested this. The narration isn't going to line up. What if we get 6 successes before we even get in the building, and there's still 5 gangsters roaming around? One
What
of
if
them with the hostage.
E-scale has a good idea. What if you do this? You get 5 successes on that bar. You save the hostages. You get 10 successes before you reach your failures. You defeat the bad guys. They don't get away.
Could maybe, I don't know.
So have it goal based. So
Well,
here's
that's what
your
I was
goal.
saying earlier. Like you might find out this runs very differently than just, all right, you're in an encounter. What happens? You know.
So that's what I'm saying is like, so you know that it's going to take 4 successes to save the the hostages. It's going to take another 3 successes to stop the bomb that they're setting off. But it's going to take another 4 successes to defeat them completely. So you're looking at 8, 9, 10, 11 successes. And based on how many successes you get, your goals, you make success goals. Hey Rex, how you doing?
I think if you start saying, all right, this many successes, this thing happens, as far as that many moving parts with hostages and stuff,
Well, we
your
ran into
players
a
are just,
situation where like you guys were like you guys were successful in convincing them not to do anything. Um you guys were successful quicker than I was expecting. So if we make it goal based, I don't know.
I think if you have the goals and the numbers like that for the hostages and stuff in this situation, your players are just going to end up playing chess with you. They're going to be like, okay, how many successes can I get without putting myself in danger, which will technically make me win the day and save the hostages. That's what I was saying earlier. Like if we never enter the building, but somehow I rack up the successes. See what I'm saying?
Yes, but what I'm saying is they don't get to choose. I'm not saying that they. I'm saying that you set the bar as a GM. You can say to save the hostages is the last tick on that bar.
Okay.
But you have to do as you progress through that bar. You are able to stop the bomb. You are able to stop them, but there's something still happening that makes the hostages at risk. So that's not how I would do that scenario. How I do a scenario is you stop the bomb, you save the hostages, you stop the bad guys, personally. But you see what I'm saying is like you set the bar of like after 3 successes, this happens. After 4 successes, this happens. After 5 successes, then you beat the bad guys.
Yeah, but like, what's to keep a team of trolls saying, okay, I'm going to plant listening devices all over the building. I roll. Okay, that's a success. Okay, I'm going to send my bugs out to go watch this guy. That's a success. And you just keep doing stuff like that.
To be honest, that what's to stop players doing that in the current method though?
Well, that was the problem we were having. So you were just racking up successes and the narrative. There was a disconnect between what was happening and bar.
I mean, that's another thing we could do. That is a good idea, Rex. Instead of having you succeed, you succeed, you succeed. After 4 successes, you save the hostages, so you get 2 team points. After 6 successes, you stop the bomb. Now you get 2 more team points.
It feels like this would get railroady to make the bar work, or bar slash success failure count, trying to make it match a narrative. It's close. There's just something not connecting the two here, and I'm at a loss for what it is.
I'm right there with you. I'm success versus failures. That works, but it only works as if you don't tie it narratively, and I really feel like it should be tied narratively.
Unless, so I was thinking, like, what if you give the bad guys a very simple amount of HP, like we're talking strikes, easy D6 nuts kind of thing, and your success counts as a hit to wear them down. Um, but then every scene would have to have a critical moment. It's like, okay, this thing happens at full success. This thing happens at the failure.
I mean, I kind of agree with Great Mustache. If I did the bar thing for narrative stuff, I'd have to have a different bar for each scenario, each issue, and then players could choose where their success goes. So they can. So you
Could
have
you
three.
keep it at 2 bars? Just a bar for enemies? Ooh, that's the wrong finger. Bar for enemies, and then uh, a bar for the objective.
What if there's multiple objectives?
You could, if you wanted to complicate it, but the base would be enemies objective kind of thing to do. So, like in the bank situation we did, if you just wanted to wear down the bad guys, you could, just do that. But the GM would the GM get to determine where your failures go? So, like, okay, yep, you're trying to shoot these guys up. You failed. You missed all your shots. Now they're getting antsy. We're going to creep up the hostage failures because they're going to go over there and just blah, blah, blah.
I mean, I guess it depends on the scenario because,
Yeah.
like Great Mustache says, you could have a bar for the enemies, bar for the minion. You could have a bar for the bad guy, the big bad. You could have a bar for the minion, bar for the hostages. You could have a bar for property damage. Now,
That's too many bars.
basic mass pause, two bars, enemies and objectives. Advanced mass pause, multiple bars.
I like the idea of 2. Like, I feel like you could run your situations with the 2, with just enemies and then
It's worth a try.
goal. I would start there. And then you have the option, if a GM wants to have multiple bars, they can.
So, like, if you had 2 enemies attacking you at the same time, but they're also attacking each other, you could have 2 bars for the different enemy groups plus the objective.
You could, and like a dragon, a BBG with some minions, you could have that just as 1 bar. It's like, okay, you got a couple successes, the minions are gone. Like that's that bar toast. Or I mean, that's still the dragon BBG's bar, but or if you wanted to be more technical or whatever, you could have the minion bar and the dragon bar.
I do like that idea, Great Mustache. Point of the part of the point might be that you can't do it all. So the more bars you have to choose every round, 1 bar goes up, if not touched.
So now your bars are flipping also, if you're going to do multiple bars. Right, because now your successes are filling up the, instead of your party success bar, you're trying to fill up these objectives. Right?
Right.
Or so, but the failures are filling up another bar. I don't know. The bars confuse me.
So let's see.
As far as their directions go.
So let's say we had. I'm just going to keep it simple with 4 right now. All right. So here's one objective, 2 objective, and 3 objective. All right. We'll say this is the big bad. Just for the scenario that I used when I test with you guys. Minions. No, I wouldn't. I'm going to call this enemies because I didn't really have a big bad. I did, but he didn't. Bomb because they had a bomb that they were setting off, and then rescue hostages.
So while you're doing that, just a random thought to make things more complicated. If you're filling up a pie like that, what if your failures and failures and successes both took up space, and whenever the pie was full, whoever had the most wins? It's a totally different thought. Just throwing it out there for later. Before you got too
I
far
might.
along.
Okay. So in this scenario, you have 5 players. I'm going to go back to 3 players because I don't think you would have more spaces for 5 players. You know. All right. So you have 1 failure, 2 successes. This success decides that he is going for the enemies. This one decides he's going to try to save the hostages. The GM decides that where the failure goes. So then they would roll again. Let's not randomly, but let's say this one was successful and these 2 failed. So again, this guy wants to go for the enemies. And the DM says, okay, well, you failed to stop the bomb and you failed to save the rest hostages. Or player. It could be player assigned. Players could decide where it goes. But I think it's better if the GM goes. And then they all get successes. Okay. So that gives them a +1. This one decides he's going for the enemies. This one says he's going for the bomb. This one says he's going for the rescue hostages. They decide to finish off the enemies. Okay. With the extra success together. Then you have 2 options here. If only one of them was successful and the other 2 failed, I'm just doing check marks because it's easier. He decides to rescue the hostages, but the bomb goes off. There could be a consequence at that point, whatever that consequence is.
I think that's going to be very hard to narrate.
Could be. Very well could be. I'm trying to figure it out. Something's not clicking.
I think you need to have another session and just run through it. Not just a very casual couple random characters. Let's run it through it kind of thing and see what comes up. I'm gonna steal.
I thought the character creation was fine.
That was good. That part really worked. I'm gonna steal what Mustache just sent me here. He's designing things.
Outer ring is heroes, inner ring is villains.
I think you misspelled villains. How dare you?
You did.
This is unacceptable work, mustache.
Another idea. What did um the bar is just a big luck bar numbered -5 to +5, and that is where what all players add to their roll. But the bar moves up or down depending on how well everyone rolls. That's what I started with, and we ended up in a situation where it never really moved. He's going.
You'll show
I'll
me
show you
unacceptable.
unacceptable.
Oh no.
What did you open?
I don't
Um,
know.
I do like the outer ring is heroes, inner ring is villain type scenario instead of bars. Hey, that game is already in production. It's called Simon.
Mm. I remember that toy.
I mean, the situation could be, here is here's what it starts out as, um, and then the GM uses an intrusion to introduce a bomb, let's say, and that requires them to get 2 more successes. Right?
Right? Maybe.
I don't know.
I think
I think I need to write this up and give it to a better DM than me.
no. I think you just need another little bank situation like we had and just take what we got and run through it several times like we did, just trying one concept at a time, and seeing how it works.
I think we solved the problem with powers
Yeah.
today. I'm pretty satisfied with the powers. And I'm pretty satisfied with the successes versus failures, like how we come to success, number of successes, number of failures. I just don't know what to do with that number once we have it.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem. So what? So this guy gets a success, this guy gets a failure, and this guy gets a success. So what does that mean in the
Means you get
encounter
2
itself?
points and they get 1 point.
Correct. But what happens if I want to introduce the bad guy is suddenly wearing a giant bomb that you didn't notice until you opened his jacket?
That's when
How
you'd use
does
your points, right?
right? How does that change? Does that add to the number of successes required?
Mm,
Does it
that's
completely
where
create
you
a
have to
new one?
define what those abilities you're using you do. If you want like defined hard abilities in the manual, like this will halt their progress bar or something, or like this will reduce their successes by whatever. Like, oh yeah, you opened up the bomb and blew up. So it's like, okay, you lost 2 of your successes. That could be something that does. Or you could do something, hey, this will prevent you from getting any more than 2 successes this round.
Hey, to me, that's a check mark of all the same color. So all success can color combined hack successful. Um, I thought about that too. I think I'm going to have to test both of those, Eskillum. I thought about like more successes adds a bar to the bar. Um, or we've done the individuals, like individual successes I think I need to test both.
If you did that, the looking for the net positive or negative as your
Yeah.
point, that would result in so many people skipping their turns.
Yes, it would.
Unless you're counting skip turns as failures.
Which could, but I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
I think I want to leave skip turns as just a benefit to the players, but not to a detriment to the enemies. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just say it doesn't count. So this person is neutral. This person, oops, this person gets a positive. This person gets a failure. What happens if they're equal?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Your negative one has to count as something. But even if you just have a party of 2,
Even
and
if you
that
have a party of 2, that's like
then just nothing happens. You're at a stalemate, which would probably
drag out
not be very
everything.
fun.
But if we were if
Both
we
sides could get a point,
but if we were
power point, or
adding it
whatever.
if we were adding it like if we're doing individual successes and pluses to the bar,
Mm-hmm.
this would, you know,
The net positive negative would make it feel more like a team based thing, which is kind of what we're trying to do here. So that's worth considering. But you
yeah.
would have to do something with the skip your turn thing.
Yeah, that's the whole thought. That was a whole thought process there, Skillum. Um, I suppose that could still happen. You just add everybody's totals up, and if you
That you get
beat
a
a tar-
lot of
uh,
adding at that point at a large
yeah, it
party.
takes a. You're right. You start adding. It takes a while to add those up.
Oh, as a single roll for the party.
Yeah, but then you get people who aren't rolling, and that becomes
Yeah,
problematic.
we're all here to roll dice.
We're all here to roll dice. I mean, that's what we want to do. It's, I
Well,
mean,
now say hold up.
Scratch already convinced me that this is a GM not rolling game. So
You could. You'd have to remath everything, but just to make this work, since the GM doesn't even get a turn or do anything, like they just roll, and if they fail, that's how they lose health or whatever. Just go around the table. Each player leads the group, and you just go around the table, and that's how you take turns.
what if you're not playing at a table?
Well, you know what I mean. Go around the figurative table, not the literal table.
So who do you just clockwise
Yeah, I'll say
from?
like ICRPG just goes around the table, everybody does their things. But this one, you're the whole team is still doing something, but one person could do the role. But like I say, you'd have to remath all your stats and everything, but that is how you could make that work.
And yes, to answer your question, they do have stats. They have skills. Based on those skills, they roll a d6 plus the skill. If they use a power, depending on how many power points they put into it, they get a d6, a d8, or d10 or d12 based on the. But they can only, if they're only a rank 1 power, they can only put 1 power point into. If they're a rank 2 power point, then they can put 2.
What if going back to the skipping a turn thing?
Mm-hmm.
What if you had them roll? We'll just say a d6, and on a 1, it counts as a failure. Anything else is like, yep, you set this turn out and get a PowerPoint or whatever.
Yeah, we
That
could do
way,
that.
there's always a little chance. I'm not sure about that one. That would keep them from abusing it, but I feel like there's a better way.
I feel like there's a better way for a lot of this. I haven't figured it out yet, though.
Yeah. And it might
Uh,
just be, hey, you can't set out 2 turns in a row.
Right.
Yeah. So, but I think that's good for now. You've been at it for
Oh,
2
I agree.
hours, so.
I'm sorry, Scrat.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're at a point where you got to get back on the map and roll some dice and see what does and doesn't work.
I do. What Scrat was saying could be a support roll. That's what we're saying, is that you take a turn off, and then if you roll a 1, it's a failure. But if you roll anything other than a failure, you get a team point. Team points can be used to activate powers. So, or abilities, which I haven't even touched, because I did have abilities too. All right, let's call it from here. Thank you, Scrat, for being on and
Yeah.
helping me. Thanks everybody who was here and helping. I appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye, all.